The Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 trailer isn't just creepy, it's screaming secrets in every frame. From the flicker of a shadow in the background to the blood-red glow in Nevermore's halls, every shot feels like a warning. There's a sense that the game has changed, and this time Wednesday isn't the one hunting. She's being hunted. The trailer doesn't just show us where the story is heading, it hides the truth in plain sight, waiting for sharp eyes to catch it. And once you do, the picture becomes darker and far more dangerous than anything we've seen before. In Part 1, we left Wednesday standing on the edge of a storm, literally and figuratively. The last episode ended with unanswered questions hanging in the air like the thick mist that clings to Nevermore's gates. Enid's smile had begun to fade, replaced with worried glances and half-kept secrets. Xavier's loyalty seemed genuine, but his late-night disappearances hinted at something else entirely. Bianca, once an uneasy ally, appeared conflicted at her, eyes carrying the weight of something she couldn't say out loud. And then there was the ominous message delivered by the faceless figure, words that still echo, "The clock is running out, Raven." The trailer wastes no time reminding us of these tensions. The very first shot shows Nevermore shrouded in shadow, as if the sun itself refuses to touch it. The sound of a raven's caw pierces the silence, followed by a fleeting glimpse of Wednesday, walking down a corridor lined with cracked mirrors. Each reflection shows her looking slightly different, subtle changes in her expression. A tilt of her head, a flicker of her eyes hinting at the fractured state of her mind. It's not just a hallway. It's a warning that her reality is beginning to splinter. But what truly stands out is how the trailer mirrors the ending of Part 1. The cryptic symbols etched into the floor of Wednesday's dorm room reappear, but now they're glowing faintly in a deep crimson light. This detail is easy to miss in the quick cuts, but it's crucial. In Season 1, red was almost never used. It's a color that represents blood, danger, and irreversible decisions. If those glowing symbols are connected to the prophecy hinted at before, it means Wednesday's fate is already in motion, and the second half of the season will be about racing against something she can't stop. What's chilling is the way the trailer uses silence. There's a shot where Wednesday stands in the quad, surrounded by students, yet there's no sound at all, not footsteps, not whispers, just a heavy, suffocating stillness. Then, out of nowhere, a single clock chimes in the distance, slow and deliberate. It's the same clock we heard in the background when the mysterious figure warned her about time running out. This is no coincidence. It's the show's way of telling us the countdown has already begun, and whatever is coming won't wait for her to be ready. The deeper you look, the more the trailer feels like a puzzle that's been carefully built to mislead. But beneath the quick cuts and eerie imagery, there's a clear pattern, one that suggests Part 2 will push Wednesday into her most dangerous game yet. The question isn't whether she survive. It's whether she make it out without losing who she is. Asterisk the real magic of the Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 trailer lies in the blink and you miss it moments, tiny, deliberate details that the casual viewer might overlook, but once noticed, they change the entire tone of what's coming. The first of these is a quick, shadowed figure slipping across the Nevermore courtyard at night. It's not Wednesday, not Enid, and not any of the known students. The frame lingers for just half a second before cutting to a completely different scene, almost as if it's daring us to connect the dots. This figure's height, build, and fluid movement suggest someone agile, almost predatory. And it raises the possibility that the true villain of Part 2 has already been hiding in plain sight. Then there's the recurring image of the raven, normally a symbol closely tied to Wednesday herself. But here, the bird isn't perching or cawing, it's trapped. In one chilling sequence, we see a raven frantically beating its wings against a glass dome, unable to escape. This isn't just random gothic imagery, it's a visual metaphor for Wednesday's new position. She's no longer the detached observer or the calculated hunter. She's the one caged in a game controlled by someone else, and the glass walls suggest she might be able to see the truth, but not touch it until it's too late. Lighting plays an equally sinister role in the trailer storytelling. In a hallway scene, Wednesday is walking toward camera, but behind her, the shadows don't move in sync with her steps. At first glance, it could be dismissed as a trick of the light, but this kind of cinematography choice is rarely accidental. If her shadow isn't her own, it could symbolize that something or someone is literally following her every move. It could also hint at a darker side of herself emerging, a version of Wednesday that she's trying to keep buried. One of the most unsettling clues comes from a brief, almost subliminal shot of a book being slammed shut. The title on the cover reads, "The Unwritten." Fans who freeze-frame this moment will notice that the spine is cracked and the pages are stained, as if the book has been through fire or water. The symbolism here is sharp. The unwritten could refer to a fate that hasn't been decided yet or a story that someone is desperately trying to erase. In the context of Wednesday's life, this might mean the prophecy we've been teased with isn't fixed, but someone is trying to make sure it becomes inevitable. The trailer also hides emotional betrayals within physical gestures. There's a scene where Enid places a reassuring hand on Wednesday's shoulder, but her eyes glance off-screen towards something or someone else. It's not fear in her gaze, but conflict, as if she's torn between protecting Wednesday and protecting herself. This single moment could be foreshadowing the much-theorized betrayal arc, where a friend might have to choose between loyalty and survival. Another tiny but telling clue lies in the Nevermore gates. In Season 1, they always stood open in wide, welcoming arcs, even during tense moments. But here, the gates are shut, chained, and covered with an unfamiliar symbol etched into the metal, a circle intersected by jagged lines like a broken compass. This could mean Nevermore is no longer a safe haven, but a trap, locking danger in rather than keeping it out. The broken compass imagery might suggest characters will lose their moral or literal sense of direction, wandering into deadly territory, even. The sound design offers warnings. Twice in the trailer, during completely unrelated scenes, there's a faint echo of children laughing, distorted as if coming from underwater. It's deeply unsettling and completely out of place, hinting that something from the past, possibly an old tragedy tied to Nevermore, is bleeding into the present timeline. When paired with the trailer's recurring clock chimes, it suggests time itself might be an active force in Part 2's mystery, looping or repeating in ways that will disorient both Wednesday and the audience. All these hidden elements work together to craft a trailer that isn't just telling us what's coming, it's taunting us with what we can't yet see. The danger is closer than Wednesday thinks, and the real enemy might not be a monster lurking in the shadows, but a familiar face standing right beside her. The Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 trailer wastes no time teasing new faces, some fleeting, some lingering just long enough to plant questions in our minds. These aren't just background characters. They feel purposeful, like puzzle pieces that don't yet fit but will eventually form a dangerous picture. The first standout is a tall, pale figure wearing an old-fashioned black coat, standing alone on the edge of the Nevermore grounds. The way the shot is framed makes it clear they're watching the Academy, not just passing by. Their face is obscured by shadow, but the glint of a silver chain around their neck catches the light, a chain that appears again in another scene, dangling from someone's hand inside a candlelit room. This could mean the figure isn't a stranger at all, but someone already entangled in Wednesday's circle, keeping their true identity hidden until the right moment. Another intriguing introduction comes, in the form of a new student glimpsed, only twice in the entire trailer. She has fiery red hair and wears a dark green Nevermore blazer, but her crest is different, altered with a stitched tover patch, as if she doesn't officially belong there. In one quick shot, she's sitting in the library with an open book covered in handwritten notes and strange symbols in the margins. These markings match the glowing crimson designs we saw on the floor of Wednesday's dorm, suggesting she knows far more about the prophecy than anyone is letting on. The trailer gives no hint of her name, but her posture leaned forward, eyes darting around the room, suggests she's either spying for someone or hiding from them. Then there's the imposing man in a dark suit with a cane, introduced during a nighttime rainstorm sequence. He's seen speaking to Principal Weems's replacement outside the Academy gates. Though his voice is never heard, his presence feels like a challenge. His cane isn't just for walking, it has an ornate raven head carved into it with tiny, ruby eyes that glint in the lightning. That detail connects him symbolically to Wednesday, but whether he's an ally or adversary is unclear. The fact that the shot is accompanied by a sudden drop in background sound, almost like the world itself, is holding its breath, makes him one of the most unsettling new additions, but not all fresh faces are human. In one surreal scene, Wednesday encounters a tall, masked figure with elongated arms, moving in an unnatural, almost puppet-like way. The mask is bone white with hollow eyes, and it tilts its head as though studying her. This could be a hallucination, a dream sequence, or something supernatural invading Nevermore's grounds. The mask's design mirrors one we've seen in Addams' family lore, connection that could imply the entity is tied to her own family history, or perhaps to a secret they've been hiding for generations. The trailer also hints at an older woman, dressed entirely in black lace, sitting in a dimly lit parlor surrounded by crows in cages. Her scenes are bathed in a greenish tint, giving them an otherworldly feel. She's seen holding a silver key in one hand and a faded photograph in the other. When the photo catches the light, we can just barely make out a younger version of Gomez Addams standing next to someone who looks eerily like her. If this is true, she could be a long-lost relative or an old enemy with unfinished business. Even returning characters appear transformed in ways that make them feel new. Bianca's hair is styled differently, her posture more rigid, and in one shot, she's wearing a heavy black cloak instead of her usual Nevermore attire. She's shown speaking to one of the new faces in the trailer, and the conversation seems tense, her jaw clenched, her hand tightening into a fist. This raises the question of whether she's aligning herself with outsiders or secretly working against them. Perhaps the most unsettling newcomer is never fully shown. In 3 separate shots, we see only fragments: a pale hand with long, sharp nails closing a door, the hem of a black cloak disappearing around a corner, and a shadow crossing Wednesday's path that doesn't match the shape of any visible person. This fragmented introduction is a clever way to make viewers obsess over their identity, and it almost guarantees that this character's reveal will be tied to a major twist. What's brilliant about these introductions is that none of them are fully explained. Every new figure is tied to an unanswered question, and every interaction feels like a breadcrumb leading to a much bigger reveal. Whether these characters are illies, enemies, or something in between, one thing is clear: the arrival of fresh players will force Wednesday to question every alliance she thought was safe. Asterisk. If the Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 trailer taught us anything, it's that nothing and no one can be trusted. Every frame drips with suggestion, feeding a handful of theories so bold that, if even one is true, it could flip the story upside down. Let's start with the one that's already sending shivers through the fandom, the betrayal theory. This idea hinges on tiny moments like Enid's conflicted glance or Bianca's secretive meeting that suggests someone close to Wednesday might switch sides. Betrayal in this world doesn't have to mean full villainy. It could mean a desperate choice, a forced alliance, or being blackmailed into acting against Wednesday's interests. The trailer's subtle cues, such as repeated shots of doors closing between characters, paint a picture of bonds being severed, one by one. Then comes the hidden villain theory, which has been building since Season 1. The figure glimpsed in, shadow outside Nevermore, the pale hand closing a door, and the fractured compass symbol all seem connected. The theory goes that this antagonist has been quietly influencing events since Wednesday first arrived at Nevermore, pulling strings while staying unseen. The most chilling part? They might not be entirely human. The way the trailer uses unnatural movements, flickers of light, and warped reflections suggests something otherworldly is in play. If this hidden villain has been there all along, we may realize that the threats Wednesday thought she defeated in Season 1 were only pawns in a much larger game. The family secret theory is where things get personal. That older woman in black lace clutching the faded photograph could be a long-lost relative erased from Addams' family history. If she's tied to the prophecy, then Wednesday's fight isn't just about Nevermore, it's about the blood running through her veins. The idea that her own lineage might be the root cause of the chaos adds a new layer of emotional conflict. Imagine Wednesday discovering that the enemy she's been hunting shares her name, her blood, and maybe even her personality. The trailers. Use of mirrors showing slightly altered reflections could be symbolic of this. Hinting at a literal or metaphorical double, there's also a growing time loop theory, sparked by the repeated clock chimes and distorted children's laughter. Fans are speculating that the events of Part 2 may not be entirely linear. If the crimson symbols glowing on Wednesday's dorm floor are a form of time magic or curse, she could be trapped in repeating cycles without realizing it. This would explain déjà vu moments, recurring imagery, and the strange familiarity between her and some of the new characters. If time is bending, it could mean that Wednesday has already faced and failed this battle before, making her struggle not just about survival, but about breaking an endless loop. One of the darker possibilities is the caged raven theory, drawn from the scene where the bird frantically beats against glass. It might not just represent Wednesday's current situation, it could be foreshadowing her eventual fate. If the villain's plan succeeds, Wednesday could end up trapped in a state where she's alive but powerless, her mind intact but her body under control of something else. The glass could also symbolize her awareness, able to see what's happening but unable to act. A living witness to her own downfall. The trailer's closing shot feeds directly into the prophecy fulfillment theory. We see Wednesday standing in the quad, rain falling as everyone around her turns slowly to face her, their eyes completely black. It's a haunting visual, but here's the key detail. The camera tilts upward at the end, revealing a massive shadow stretching over the school in the exact shape of a raven's wings. This could mean the prophecy is not about her destroying the threat, it's about her becoming it. If that's true, then Part 2 isn't about stopping the darkness. It's about whether Wednesday can resist becoming the very thing she's been fighting. What makes these theories so compelling is that the trailer doesn't confirm or deny any of them. Instead, it sprinkles enough evidence to make each one feel possible. The chain of clues from mysterious new arrivals to cryptic symbols and fractured alliances suggests that Part 2 will be more psychological, more dangerous, and far more personal than anything Wednesday has faced before. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain: by the time the season ends, Wednesday Addams will not be the same girl we met when this story began.